Hey everyone, I'm Nick.
I'm Vic.
And we're NV Board Gaming. Today we're taking a look at a pencil first game. It is Heroes Welcome, Merchants of Dragon Reach. It is a 2 to 5 player game designed by Ido Braff and Mark LeBlanc. Vic's going to teach you how to play, and then we'll come back with our review.
All right, we are set up here for a game of Heroes Welcome, Merchants of Dragon Reach. In this game, players are trying to get weapons from the monsters that are in this dungeon. And it's interesting because they're actually buying these materials from the heroes that are set up at the top here. They're going to be having weapons available to them. And these merchants are going to break down these items into different materials that they're then able to sell back to the the dungeon monsters who end up getting killed, and it's just this crazy cycle. So in this game, players will start with a special merchant. I'm just showing you all the different options here, but they'll all have one thing in common. They have a mastery where they have the green shard mastery in this case for Misty Malletmouth, and they don't use red shards. They prefer not to use any red shards in this case when they are constructing a weapon. So because they are set up to do that, they always start here with 5 coins, and then whatever their position is, second, third, fourth, and so on and so forth, they'll gain a coin or 2 depending on when they start. And then there's different specialties here. You can see that use no green shard, and then you start with the red shard mastery. And so for the purpose of example, I will just go with Misty Malletmouth here, and I would have that person in front of me. And these mastery cards, as I mentioned, are they depend on the character you start with, but you can also go to this space, the Artisan's Guild, and acquire them at any time to start kind of changing the way that you augment or craft these weapons that you're getting, because you're going to get different bonuses depending on the materials that you've used and the way that your character's set up, your crafting ability, crafting skill. So in this case here for them, they have the green shard mastery, so I'll set them up there. And you can see in their case, if they use 3 green shards, they're going to get an extra 3 of these purple points here. They're Vorpal points, and they are the victory points in this game, the purple color there. And then if you use 4 green shards, you get 5, and 5 green shards there, 8 points. So that's something that will add to the way that you are going to fulfill these orders, which I'll show you for an example. They go in chronological order, so they start off like small little orders that these customers have, and then eventually they're going to get to be a little more complicated. But start here, we have all the usual characters of the dungeon, the demon imp, the reanimated corpses, and troglodytes. And so in this case, this demon imp is looking for a shiv that has either a green or a red shard, or a basic any material of any sort. Doesn't matter to them. And that's what that diamond with the circle inside could be, any good. So we will have a task at hand of how do we get these materials. So what they do is players are going to take turns. They're going to be dealt one of these starting doodads, and one of them, you notice, is the +1 ring of going first, so they'll be the first player, and it's kind of randomly given out to each player, and the first player will have that, and that is an item that gets broken down as well, so it does work towards the crafting that you're looking to do. So, players will take turns. They're going to move exactly 1 space. They also start with 2 scam cards. And these scam cards have different things going on. They have, in this case, the free samples. You get to move the heroes 1 space, so you can move more than once. And this is the same. So sometimes you might end up with the same, but there are different examples here. This bait and switch one. You get $1 on each eager customer, and from now on, those customers require 1 extra good, and they reward with additional victory points. So you're kind of cumulatively adding. So these are just different abilities that scams that a player can play at any time during their turn. And I will mention on these mastery cards, you get these neat little trackers here to keep track of where you're at on your skill here, your craft. So anyways, so yeah, this has a handy reference right here. The reference card always helps to know what you're doing in each turn. So you're gonna run a shop with getting the heroes to move to your shop, and in this case, you start in different areas that you can go to, move once. In the expansion, the kickbacks expansion, these customers have these extra little kickbacks that are added to them as the game progresses. This is just an expansion though, not in the regular game. So instant abilities, things like you gain 5 gold and you discard it after you claiming it, or at any ongoing abilities where you can convert 4 gold into Vorpal pieces, the victory points. You're gonna get some extra characters here, dungeon monsters to attack, and they're in different chronological order, so they'll just kind of be slotted in. You'll notice they're at 2.5 on this card, so it'll fit right in there. And then these randomly come out, these tiles, at the start of the game, so they'll change the setup of the initial map a little bit. Otherwise, if you don't play with the expansion, those things aren't added. There's also these extra little perk tokens that will go out into the players' backpacks and be added to the stack of monster tokens here, which are well-armed enemies, actually. That's what these stand for. It's kind of funny. I'll go through that in a moment. But in any case, you go forward anywhere you want, and you'll choose either anything on the outside here. So you can go get gold here at the Goldsmiths Guild. You can visit a Builders Guild. You can go to any guild that suits your fancy. The explanation is right printed on the board there. When you go to these places, there's these really adorable closed signs that come out, and once they're out there, you can't go there. You can't visit that shop or run that shop until the round is over. However, you do have certain abilities that let you ignore it, like this late shift in the scam card deck. There is a card that can let you ignore that closed sign. But anyway, so this player goes here, and what are they doing? They're going to decide to trade a good for 2 goods. So they'll take their starting good that they got, they'll give it up to one of these players, and on the board there's a lot of iconography, but this icon here is telling you only one of any player, any of these heroes here, you'll trade for 2. So you could put 1 down, and let's say, because you have the green shard mastery, you would trade here, and you would take the green shard and the orc steel item here, the halberd of inconvenient science, and you would flip it over, and there you go. You've broken it down. It goes into your supply there. And ideally, you could fulfill an order for the Demon Imp there in your next turn. So you only get 1 action per turn unless you have a scam card that gives you an ability to do differently. And then it's off to the other person's turn. So you put your close sign out, and the next person can choose to move 1, or they can move here by choosing go to the Builders Guild. They can put out a tile. There's certain rules. It'll tell you in the bottom of the building tile where you can actually build on top of. So this one's telling you the field, but some of them will actually be specific and say the wizard's lab, for instance. Different things like that get built up on top, so they upgrade kind of those locations for you. And when you build, you of course put your close sign out, and you go immediately for another turn. This potion spot here, you actually sell these potions to the heroes for use in the dungeon during their battles, and when you do, you get rewarded because that particular adventurer will actually have more things turned over, more weapons to bring back to you, because they did a really great job in the dungeon. So once players have decided, they've gone back and forth, eventually somebody will call for an end to the round. And when that happens, players can all agree with it, and if they agree, then you proceed with the end of the round here, when it's called for the round end. If players veto it, so if they say no, they actually have to give up one of their items in order to say no to the end of round request. So if no one vetoes it, though, you end the game, the round, and if they do, then you keep going. And you can, of course, ask to end the round again, because nobody can veto you going forward after that. So, and anyway, once we've gone through and they agree to an end to the round, we will do the dungeon crawl. if we had sold to some of these customers, anytime you sell, you fulfill an order. I'll just go back and mention that. So if I had fulfilled this order here on my next turn, I would trade in this green shard and this orc steel as my random item, and I would start with 3 vorpal pieces and 4 coins. But I have an ability where if I don't use a red shard, I get +1, and I also have this mastery of using 3 green shards, but I didn't do that. But I didn't use the red one, so I do get a 3 + 1 because of my mastery there. And also I'll go ahead and grab 4 of these tokens, and we have them in the bag here, but I would grab 4 of those and kind of keep them face down, and at the end of the game, whoever has the most of those is going to win. So it's important, good thing to have. So in any case, if I had sold to that person, I would go ahead and put this token out in the dungeon as a well-armed enemy. And if my opponent, we cleared this one out, we would go ahead and put more of these equal to the number of monsters that were sold to, customers that were satisfied. And then we will proceed here, round end, return the 2 black market tokens. So there's a black market action space down here that I didn't mention where you could go. There's actually 2 spots here. You can buy from it. It's kind of expensive, so not something you'll want to do if you don't have to. But you'll pay coins for either 2 goods or 1. And when you do, you add it into the bag here, the player at the end of the round, and then you're going to draw the scam card. Whoever called for the round end gets an extra scam card. Kill enemies and level up. So in this case, you're killing the enemies that we put out here. So if, let's say this person, I'll make it exciting, they had a potion sold to them, and I will put this out. So this one here goes here, and then we've got that there and another one there. So it just so happened that the green player didn't get any goods there, but the purple and orange hero did. So we will go ahead and give them different items from this bag here. So we'll add whatever's equal to the player tokens that's on their space. There, so 2 more for them and 3 more here. Okay, and then open the shop, so we remove all the closed signs that were put out previously. And return the potions back to the supply there, the tonic pond instead of toxic. If 3 or fewer customers, draw more, so we'll put more customers out here because there's 3 or fewer. And expand the town, so the player that called the end to the round is going to grab a tile and put it out. So we'll put this out here and put out another one down here for everyone. Pass the master merchant, which is essentially the first player token. Pass it over and then return to town, and then they start again. And that's how you play the Hero's Welcome. You'll add up all of your vorpal pieces, these purple pieces at the end, and whoever has the most wins the game.
All right, welcome back for the review of Heroes Welcome, Merchants of Dragon Reach. So we played several 2-player games of this. Mm-hmm. We played it with the expansion, without the expansion. Mostly without, but then we threw it in toward the end when we got the expansion. Mm-hmm. It actually had a spot for the expansion, which is nice, just to have it. Another good production. Pencil First always does good productions. We've covered Skull Hollow, and we have Herbaceous, but we have not covered that yet. Mm-hmm. We will soon. So the board's gonna look nice and everything, and the colors are nice. Art's really well done. I like a lot of the cards. It's too bad that they repeat quite a bit.
Yeah, you can end up with like the whole hand of the same.
Yeah, it happened. I had 3. My first 3 cards were all the same. I was like, I guess I'll just use them then. So right away, I mean, that's one of the biggest downsides, I'd say, because a lot of the stuff I like here. I like all the actions you can do on this board. I like the closed signs. Cute. Good idea.
Yeah, so cute. Love it.
Yeah, it's a good idea. Just to have the closed sign, boom. And then, obviously, the scam cards maybe let you go ahead and ignore a closed sign a lot of times. A lot of them have to do with that. Mm-hmm. Good actions on the board, things that you can take up. building is going to, there's going to be more buildings as the game goes on, and it's going to be that way because that actually happens in the dungeon too.
It forces
it's
it,
a phase. And you can do the builder action, which still isn't going to count as your action. You're going to have a whole other action as well.
Yeah, it's very cool that they did that.
So the game does progress with you, which is always nice. A lot of ways to get goods. There's a ton of ways to get goods. So, and there's ways to mitigate things that maybe your opponent boxes you in, but then you can just go to these other places and go ahead and do these things that are just as cool.
Yeah.
Go into black market. You want to get one item or 2 items. It's going to cost you more if you want 2. And a lot of decisions to be made. The tonic to get coins from the people up here. Actually, it's supposed to be toxic, but they put there's a little clever things here and there if you look at the all the
names for things like the weapons too are funny.
Yes, they are. So there's definitely humor in this game if you want to take the time to read all this, to actually point out what's funny and whatnot. But clever design. What's your favorite thing about the game, Vic?
I really like the crafting, the mastery, the way that these tiles work, these cards work. It's funny, you get to add things to the title of the thing you're selling, so you can end up with a pretty funny sounding thing. Like with this, for example, the example we just showed through, you could have Misty's, whatever the item is, green glass of fraudulence, and then add of protection or stalwart at the beginning, and there's all these funny things to add based on what you've achieved. I think that's really funny. I think that's really clever. There's a lot of thought to this game. This game is very thoughtful, and you can tell that there's a lot of effort put into the production of it and the way that things go together. Moving around is a thought that you have to think about where you're going to end up having your opponent be. So I think that that's cool as well. And just have an appreciation for a game that seems that they really tried to cover so many different parts of it and write out things so clearly. The iconography is not that confusing for you to pick up pretty quickly. What did you like the best about the game?
You know what? I do like these cards. And does it remind you of anything? I'm going to give you a second to think about that, okay?
Okay.
Does it remind you of a game we've played that you may or may not like?
Okay.
The expansion, I think, is fair. I think I wish these kickbacks were used more because I think you've got a whole bunch, but we don't use very many of them. At the beginning, we start to, but in a 2-player game, you're fulfilling those orders pretty quick.
Yeah.
You can just run out, not fulfilling orders, but that's essentially what you're doing when you're getting these monsters. You're fulfilling a certain condition on this. It reminds me of fulfilling an order.
It is an order, though, isn't it? A customer.
Yeah, I guess it is. They're an order. Yeah, I don't know. I just think of it. Because they're monsters that I'm defeating them. But I'm not. I'm a merchant. I'm not defeating them. The hero's on the top.
And that's what's so unique about this game is it's something completely different. You're actually supplying.
Yeah.
I think it's hilarious.
Reselling
the monsters that end up attacking the heroes who then give you the weapons and then you break them down and then it's like a really funny ring going on.
You don't need the scam cards. You're actually a scam artist.
Yeah.
So it is an interesting theme. It's very cool. I like that
Very
too.
unique.
Very unique as well.
So what's your score on this?
Well, do you have an answer?
For this? I'm thinking it's Pandoria.
No. That's not what I'm thinking.
Okay.
I'm thinking this reminds me of the Colonists.
That's what it was. I was trying to think of what it had that it was the more you sold or the more you did.
Yeah, as you progress on these tracks for the guilds.
That's true.
It's like a lighter version of it, This is pretty straightforward. But that's what it reminded me of, progressing on these and getting better points.
Adding more, too. I didn't mention it also. I like that you can have more than one of those and just go crazy with
just
these.
Just like Colonists.
Yeah, it's really cool. Can I give my score?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to give my score. I gave it an 8.8. I first wrote a 9, and I went, whoa, Vic. Can't do that. I don't think. But 8.8, such a fun game for me. Really like the things that the expansion adds too, because it's just more good stuff. It could maybe use something that makes it more different, but you don't need to mess with a good thing. The expansion doesn't have to take it completely in a different direction. I like that. Everything about this game. I have a lot of fun with it.
Awesome. I like it a lot. I don't like it 8.8, but I like it a lot. I'm going to score it in the 8s. It's an 8-1. So I was in that 7, 9, 8, 8-1. I gave it an 8-1 because I do enjoy my plays. Another concern I have, as I had with Sarcadians, a recent review we did, replayability. I don't know how replayable this is. How many times, can you really replay this game?
With the customers, because there's not that many customers.
And they come out the same. Which is fine. It's fine. I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, you wouldn't have
a big order right away.
Yeah.
You could.
You could, but then it goes away when the two player.
Yeah, we have to.
Yeah, I can see
You have
why
to
they had
change
to force it in a chronological order because, as I mentioned in my overview, the monsters are in chronological order, ascending order.
Yeah, if you want to keep it a clean, easy design, like easy to explain, you probably have to keep it that way. Otherwise, you're gonna make convoluted rules to make it a little variable, and I don't think it would stay true to this game, which is a pretty clean design. You can there's a max also that you hit pretty easily on the filling up the bags. You hit that pretty easily,
Backpacks
especially
of the
with
heroes.
potions when you need coins from them.
Yeah.
I like how you're buying from them. I like how you're actually giving them the money. That's cool.
Yeah.
Not going to supply like all other games.
Yeah.
So that's cool. They're actually giving the person, the hero, the money. Okay? I like that. So, yeah, two 8+ here.
Really like this game. Big fan. I mean, I like how it changes. The thing about the replayability, at least you have this different combination of buildings and where those can end up. Although the orders are the same, it does change up the board quite a bit, and the expansion adds that as well. So I think that kind of helps with the replayability, but I could see what you mean totally about that.
You know, you're either getting coins or goods on those spots. I mean, there's not much difference. So yeah, there's different ways to do it. You get goods through the black market.
Yeah, you're
in some
right. It
spots.
is a repeat. Like every spot nothing's gonna take you to another dimension or
Yeah,
anything.
they're like, well, that was really clever, but you know, there are some in there that are a little different. Maybe you can trade in scam cards or something. There's little hints of it here and there.
Yeah, getting to hit up the black market 3
but
times.
But it's still fun. It's still a fun game, so it's gonna get positive scores from us.
Yes, we recommend it. Thank you so much for joining us for our overview and review of this game. We hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more great content. We will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.